You're now tuned into the hottest podcast in the world, the Stay Woke Podcast, right here on TheSonicBreakdown.com.
Man, it's time to wake up. Get this cake up. Only thing I care
Welcome
about
back
is
to another
switching.
Stay Woke Podcast. This is D. Ray Brenton. And you know the Stay Woke Podcast is presented by TheSonicBreakdown.com. So head over there and check out an article or a review. And today is going to be part 7 of the Rapture discussion installments that we've been doing, revolving around the Rapture Netflix documentary that Nas is producing. And for this 7th part, it's covering Just Blaze, and I thought the perfect person to have for this discussion would be Trav. You heard him on other podcasts that we have. He hasn't been on for a minute, so it's glad to have him back on again. And what's up, man?
I'm happy to be here, man. What's up, y'all? What's up, people? Back in the building.
So
Gravy, man.
great, man. So let's get right into it. How I've been breaking these down is we'll start by just tell me what you know about Just Blaze before the documentary, and then we'll get into more of the episode.
Over here, he's been known out here for doing this production thing. Actually, he's from Patterson, New Jersey. That's a town that's not too far from where I live at right now. He just been doing this thing, man. One of the top grade A producers out here for a minute. You know, he's known out here real well. I mean, most people know him from the Black Album with Jay-Z. He's been doing this thing out here with Saigon, a lot of underground cats, and he made it real big. Like the people's champion out here. Humble dude, grade A producer, makes marvelous sounds, man. Soulful and raw at the same time. So, before this documentary, I've been following Just Blaze for years. And he's one of the most humblest producers, because, producers got this stigma with them where, when they work on someone's project, they kind of want to do the whole album themselves. They don't want no other producers on the album when they're working on someone's project. Just Blaze is definitely not like that. So this dude, he don't mind collaborating with other producers to work on an artist's album or project, man. And he works with the greats, and he ain't nobody to fool with, too. He'll battle you. I mean, it was a great battle that went on last year, the year before last, of him and
Swiss
Beats
Beats
live on Instagram. It was a dope battle. And, he did his thing. So, he's a good producer, and he's a humble person and a good person. And I actually met his grandmother back in the day.
Yeah, that's what's up.
She was a sweet lady, yeah. So Just Blaze is one of the top producers out here on the East Coast, man. Absolutely.
I definitely have to agree with you. I'll say I have a similar background with him. Like, I've known him, again, Saigon, he's done, I can't even count how many Saigon projects he's been, he helped do or help produce or produce. And then just to go through, like, the more notables, Lord Knows he did for Drake. Ignorant Shit that he did for Jay-Z for, I think it's, what was it, American Gangster album?
Gangster?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And then he did Compton for Kendrick, featuring Dr. Dre on Good Kid, Mad City on the bonus track. And then to show, like you said, his diversity, the Freedom, he did Freedom for Beyonce on the Lemonade project. And then he did Breathe for Fabulous. Everybody knows that when it comes in, you just feel it.
That.
So, like, it just shows, like, the diversity that he has. And then even how they mentioned, show me what you got from Jay-Z is way different than Breathe, but it's the same cat, producing it. And then, so you just got so many hits from him. And like you said, he's not one of those producers where, like, him, but he never makes it like he wants to be on the forefront. He's like, nah, I just want to make this music. Like, it's kind of rare that you see in those producers. It kind of reminds me of Dr. Dre in essence, how Dr. Dre's like, really, I just want to be in the, like, just let me make my music. Like, let me just make the music. You guys do you guys do you. You're the rapper. I'm here to just elevate and try to make the best sounds and best music we can. And I think it's just unique and rare in producers.
Yeah. He's very rare in that. Like I said, man, most of them, I don't want to pinpoint one, but I'll just use one example. Like Timbaland, he's not like that now, but that's how he used to be, man. Like, he was getting the Timbaland track, or Timbaland was working on one of your albums. He didn't want no other producers on that album. If it is another producer, he don't want to do the whole project, man. That's how it used to be. Just Blaze definitely not like that, man. Absolutely not. And if you check the documentary, man, he linked up with a few producers. He could have used that whole spot in that documentary episode just to talk about him and
Yeah.
his work. But he went to go link up with other producers and show their amazing masterpiece and their artistry too that they do. So I thought that was real dope. Havoc, Swiss Beats, DJ Mustard, you know what I mean? Guru, Ninth Wonder, did with all of them, man. That's his people. It's like a legion of producers that he link up with, man. And I think that was dope. He could have took that whole time and just talked about him and what the stuff that he's accomplished. But no, he wanted to shed light on other producers that he had respect for. And I think that was super dope.
No, I definitely agree, and that's a great way for us to get right into the episode. I thought one of the themes that I took from it was just innovation. It's just because I felt like that was like that's his goal. That's like what motivates him is he just wants to keep on pushing it forward and keep on just expanding on his musical knowledge and just like building on it and not wanting to repeat, the sounds like and one of the starting from the beginning of the episode, one of the things that I did notice was that was kind of enlightening to me was that scene where he's talking about how like house and electronic music kind of influenced his sound, and then when he said it and he showed like how his intros kind of build and just kind of repeats and it's getting that energy build for you to wait for that drop, and then he does it. It's something I didn't notice before, but as soon as he said it, I was like my mind went through all of his productions and I was like, oh shit. He does do that, like, and it was one of those things that and it made me go back to something I read about Pharrell, I think last year, about his signature kind of structure too, of the 4-count first 4 notes just repeating, where Just Blaze has a section looped repeated, just kind of that different, and then DJ Mustard has his signature like stamp, DJ Mustard on the track, like. It's just interesting seeing the differences and in this case, understanding and why he did it and how he got to that point. I thought was really a good point that the documentary captured.
Yeah, definitely, man. The build up was real, man.
What about you? Were there any scenes in the beginning of this episode that really like caught your eye that you thought was interesting more than any others?
I mean, you always hear that producers, they kind of grow up as children really into music. I thought it was real cool that when he went to his mom's house, she went in the basement and got like all of his musical toys, and he had all the little stuff, Fisher Price stuff, dealing with music and stuff like that from a small child. And you can really see that music was definitely his life growing up, man. I thought that was real cool. I mean, you hear these things, you think it's just a cliche when people say that about producers and stuff like that, but his mom actually pulled out all of his stuff from Fisher Price, from his teenage years with his first DAC tapes and all that, man. Just like, I thought that was real dope. I mean, like I say, you always hear that, but you never really see it. She had every piece of equipment that he had growing up, man. That's all. They even had mixtapes that he did like back in '89 and '90.
Yeah,
that was still like still in the cassette tape deck. It was crazy, man. I thought that was really dope. I just thought that it was cool.
Yeah, and that scene, and I agree with you. That scene was cool, and the fact that, as you said, it's not just the fact that he started when he was young. You can see the progression, like he kept with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you saw how it was like it started with the Fisher Price, then it got bigger, more expensive, like more real, and he just kept on progressing and progressing. He didn't just, as you said, like, just pick it up, stop, come back to it. No, he stuck with it, and that's why he's as good as he is, because he put in his Malcolm Gladwell, the 10,000 hours. He put in his time, so that's why he can just do that stuff. And you kind of saw that when he was with each different producer, just how quickly and how easily he can have conversations with them, even though their styles are so different from each other. But like how
right.
He was so fluid with it. Like it was like, it's just like learning another language. Like he already knew it. I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah, that was super dope, man.
What did
you always hear about that, but you never actually see it, man. His family definitely was influenced him. I felt the relationship with his pops.
Yeah.
Everything, just the whole family base, the upbringing. You always see a good upbringing for the family and stuff like that with these artists, man. It's the first time I think this is the first time any of us that know Just Blaze have been following his career ever got to he got close and personal with his family and his life and stuff like that. Like all of us in Jersey know he's Patterson, so we see these people around and stuff like that. But like we got in depth with his family, his relationship with his father, things of that nature. I don't think we ever saw that side of Just Blaze. That was good for the documentary. I mean, that's what Rapture, the whole everything in Rapture, every episode actually does that. But it's just like it was good to see that with Just Blaze.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you because before this documentary, similar to what I said about Nas in a previous episode, which you guys should check out, I think it was episode 2, the Nas and Dave East one, is they come from an era, and we come from an era of you weren't out there like that. You didn't put your business out there like that.
Word.
Like the way like I was brought up is like my mom was like, no, you keep business in the house. You don't go out and tell nobody what's going on here. They don't need to know. They ain't in the family. It's family business. Like that's how it was. And so now, the generation of social media and everything where we're so more open in certain regards is way different than for us. And so like with Nas, the same thing. You never really got to see more personal sides of Nas, even with the whole situation with him and Khalees before, her recent interview. We didn't really know what went on. We just knew they were married. They got a divorce. You know what I'm saying? Like some shit happened, but we didn't know like to the extent or like, but anything in his life, we really didn't, we just knew him through his music and the little bits that we saw. And the same thing with Just Blaze and kind of this, like Jay-Z the same way. Like we don't really get a peek into their personal lives until now, more recently. Now we are.
Yeah, now we're starting to get them. Which is good, man. We need that, I think it's good for artists to do that.
I do too.
Because it kind of like wakes people up. Because people sometimes with artists they get in this they start to think that these people aren't human like us.
Exactly.
Like they're human. You know what I mean? So like we did grow up with things more privately, stuff like that. But then we also coming up like that. Not all of us, but some of us. Get this perception in our head that these guys aren't human. They're like super. They don't do the same things we do. They live the same way we live. And I think it just like gives you a reality check when you get deep into these documentaries and people get personal with their lives and become a little bit more of an open book, so you can see that these people are human. You know what I'm saying? Just like they have families. They get trials and tribulations.
They bleed. They hurt. They're just like us. Yeah,
things like that. So that gives you an inside look on that. So break a little bit of perception that people be having with these big superstars, man.
Yeah,
they human just like us.
And I think it works on both sides. I think it's double sided because by doing that, it also shows from the artist side. So like when these artists have these breakdowns or these. And I'm not talking about Kanye in this situation, but I'm talking about like artists that really have real mental. I don't know if Kanye is having a mental breakdown or not, but I'm talking about people that are having depression or having real mental breakdowns and stuff like that. These artists, sometimes the fans be looking at them like, well, how come you didn't go to this show? Or how come you didn't go to this concert? I paid, like, hey, they're human. Like, they have emotions too. Like, they're going through shit too. Like, yeah, so-and-so artist just got a divorce. Maybe right now they don't want to talk and have an interview. Like, so no, like, but we have to be understanding of them, just like we have to also understand on the other side that, yeah, they're human. So we can't hold them up to these pedestals. We can't hold them up to these status. They're just like us. They're just really good at what they do. And we tend as a society to value those things where, in a perfect world, everybody in the top of their field would have status like that. The top teacher in, New York would have, he or she would be on the same status as the top NBA player on the New York Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we don't live in a society where all occupations are held to those same regards. We pick and choose certain ones. But again, that does not make them any better or worse than any other human fan or not. They're just, like I said, just really good at what they do. And fortunately, that it pays a lot.
Yeah, they go through it just like we go through it, man. You know what I'm saying? It's trials and tribulations. Life has really curveballs to throw. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, things happen. So, I mean, I already know how it is, man. So that's why I don't get too caught up into it, man. It's like everybody with this Kanye thing. I mean, that's what we going through, man. You know what I'm saying? Going through a little mental thing right now. You know what I mean? Hopefully he snap back. And maybe some of the shit he's saying at the end of the day, the picture might make some sense. At right now people are at all about it, but you know, hey, he's going through it. He's going through a mental breakdown. He's just trying to have a battle with himself right now. Everybody go through them personal battles with yourself. You know what I mean? That's a regular thing. You know, hopefully he look up to hopefully get in tune with the Most High, whoever his God is, and get his shit right. He's a human just like everybody else. People go through shit. You know what I mean? Especially through fame and being controlled by the system and the industry that's going through the pressures of being this big superstar, losing your mom in Hollywood. You shouldn't have brought it out there. You blame yourself. I'm not giving an excuse, but I'm just saying things that go through people's minds sometimes when they snap and go crazy like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just need to be more understanding and ask just try to get more understanding of why he's saying what he's saying, and then that doesn't mean just because you ask questions to get a better understanding of what somebody's saying, that doesn't mean you necessarily agree with it. So that's just my perspective. Is we should, and to be honest, we really shouldn't be focusing that much on what he's saying, because he's just, like we just said, he's just a person. I mean. Like what he's saying is not gonna affect the world. He's not our president. We should be focusing more on what the president is saying and what the president is doing. What's going on in Puerto Rico? There's so many other things that's going on that's a lot more important. I'm not saying, I mean, I posted stuff on it about it as well, but I moved on from it. Like, I was like, this is interesting what he's saying. Some of the things, like I put on, were very reminiscent of what was in Get Out. So, but after that point, I moved on, because there's other more important things in this world. We got to keep moving, because he's still getting paid. He's still, he's, what I'm saying? We got to keep it moving. Life's going to go on, and we have to continue to moving and doing what we can in our lives to change things in a manner that's meaningful to us. And worrying about what Kanye's saying is not going to do that. So,
word up.
So, but let's get back to this, the Just Blaze episode, because to me, this was really a really good episode as well. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about is, just like we were talking about before, how there were so many different, like, this to me was like the producer episode of showing the architects of the sounds that these rappers are using as a platform. And how he had the breadth of different producers. How he went from up and comer with DJ Mustard to a legend like Swiss Beats, and you even spoke on it about how they had this heated competition, but it was still out of fun and love for the music, and then they could still sit down and have these conversations. Like it kind of reminded me of like Magic and Bird, how they battled on the court. But then, like, they can still, because they have a mutual respect for each other. Like, I know you're a beast. I'm a beast too, though. like that kind of thing. What did you think about the selection of producers that he picked? What was, would you have replaced any of them, or what did you think about that?
Nah, I think he, within his realm of things that he like as personal music that he listened to, I think he picked the perfect ones. Swiss Beats, Havoc, DJ Mustard, Ninth Wonder, and Guru. I know it was Guru. Those are the guys that he looked up to, man. I mean, every producer wants to recreate Shook ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as a producer, who wouldn't want? Because that beat was done in such a raw way. Like, why wouldn't you want to try to recreate that? That beat just like when it's like a classic beat, man. It's forever. That's going to be classic forever. So I thought that was dope. Of course, with the Havoc thing, you're a big Mob fan.
Yeah.
When I go over there and actually recreate the beat.
Yeah, when that scene came on, though, your name popped into my mind. I was like, Trap's gonna like this part. I was like, so and that was a pretty amazing scene of recreating that beat and just the discussion of it, and just that's the other thing that I appreciated about this episode is the musical education that Just Blaze was giving, but he was giving it in such a way that it wasn't like I'm trying to teach you. It's just I'm just talking about what I love. That's it. Like how he talks about how basically like Shook ones in musical theory should not make sense. It should not sound pleasing to the ear. It should not go. But yet, as you stated, you can go anywhere and play that anywhere, and you at least gonna get a handful of people that instantly, within the first 5 seconds, go, "Oh shit!" and their head is already bobbing because they know what it is.
They know what it is, yeah.
They already know what it
They
is.
already know what direction you're going.
Exactly. So that's I thought that was real interesting. How big of an effect do you think it was of there was two scenes that I wanted to ask you about, like the emotional effect of it, of the loss of his father.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that took a big piece out of him because I was the one. His father was the one I was pushing, like really pushing him and standing behind him to support everything they did. And to lose, I mean, he had small, but just lose that part in your life, man. But when I was pushing you, I mean, it hurts at the same time. You're gonna push to make him proud.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And show him that all the work and all the support that he gave me growing up paid off. So I think it hurt him, of course, because that's someone he loved and someone I was by his side as a parent. But at the same time, I think it gave him superb inspiration to push hard and push forward and become a legend. You know what I mean? I think that actually helped him.
Yeah, I think that definitely took a big hit on him, and it was just interesting that the other scene that relating to his father was the scene of like he said he wanted to be like his father, and that's why he was playing these games, and he made that game in secret because he thinks he's gonna get in trouble, and then when they find out, they're like, no, go ahead, like just instead of that. The opposite of what he thought of punishment, he got encouragement to continue to be creative. Yeah, to me that was real touching, and that's to me why it shows why it's so important to have father figures or a father in their life, because the father didn't even realize the effect that he's having, because again, the kid's doing it in secret, so he doesn't know that he's trying to be like his dad. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't, as a father, he doesn't know that, and he finds that out. So that's what I mean, like the effect that fathers have on their sons is paramount in their lives. If you have the ability to be there, that was a very touching scene, and like I said, it just highlighted that point to me even more. And then the other thing that I did want to talk to you about was the idea that he was talking about of how like him and Young Guru and with Rock Nation, or at the time Rockefeller, were also tight knit, and basically he was working so hard and so diligent that he was putting out music at such a constant pace, and then that helped spawn the career of Young Guru, and then how he kind of juxtaposed that to how it is now, where he's kind of more like solo, because everybody is at a point where they don't need to be so close, and how he kind of felt like he was longing for that, but at the same time that he's okay with the growth that he's at now. Like, what did you think about that dynamic?
I mean, he's a true producer that had samples, and, the digger in the crates got it, looking for records, the perfect sound, and things of that nature. I mean, like, once you become a producer like that, like, you can move with the flow. You know what I mean? It didn't get the respect of being a real, true producer. Mm-hmm. That really, went to the essence and the basics of it and really built up to now. So, I mean, I think he's great in the lane that he is right now. You know what I mean? He can move within this new generation. They can do whatever. They can make it more simple or whatever, but Just Blaze is always going to be that respected legend in the producing field, because he within the essence, and he ball with the time and able to work on these new machines. He can go back and do the old school stuff, so it's better. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be more solidified in the time he is now.
Yeah, I definitely think he has a place, even just based on his previous work alone. He has a place in hip hop legacy, to me, anyways. The next thing that I do want to bring up before we start to wrap up and talk about what we thought about the episode as a whole and in comparison to the other episodes is how they showed the process of creating a song, from the beat that they made at his studio, and then they went to
DJ Mustard?
Yeah. No, wasn't that the beat that he made prior to DJ Mustard? That was a different beat.
No, he made a beat with him. He made us meet a beat together. You're right.
Yeah.
That was something different. Yeah.
that he did for two artists that I know that very familiar. You want to go into that a little bit?
Oh yeah, yes indeed, man. I was very shocked to see, and I was happy to see that Westside Gun and Conway the Machine was in the building. That he was working with them. These guys been making a lot of noise out here, man. Like that whole '90s era of the raw hip hop. Like we talk about Mobb Deep and Capone and Noriega, Onyx, things like that. These guys come from Buffalo, New York, upstate New York. They're not even from the Barrows. They're from upstate. But it's raw up there. It's like it's crazy up in Buffalo. Everybody knows Buffalo, Buffalo Bills. And these guys came through, man, and carried on the torch. Those guys are like very, very unique and special right now, man. They holding down the torch. Westside Gun, Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher, and Lloyd Fleet. These guys are doing their thing out here. I was very happy to see that Just Blaze is working with them. I mean, everybody that makes raw hip hop and produces that raw sound is, they're gonna go reach for these guys. Eminem signed them. They got their own record label called Griselda Records, and it's in partnership with Shady Records. And these guys are dope, man. Like they like the raw shit that's going on the East Coast right now. I mean, it's a lot of music coming from out here right now, but these guys are keeping it from the essence, keeping that raw shit. Just alone, Conway the Machine, man. This whole story by itself. This guy got shot in the back of his head. If you look at him, you can see that half of his face looked like he had a stroke, but actually it's because he got shot in the back of his head and it collapsed and gave him collapsed half of his face like a stroke. And this guy is matched like a fucking monster. You know what I mean? He's nice. Just to see that Just Blaze was working with him and giving him pointers. He was telling him, Just Blaze was also giving him an inspiration and how to make a song. You know what I mean? Just coaching him. So that whole scene right there, man, I was very happy to see that scene, man, because I'm like, yo, these are the guys that I listen to mostly on the underground scene right now. They actually get more into the. They're gonna start getting more into the mainstream, but it's not gonna be like that commercial watered up shit. But they starting to do Coachella and things of that nature, so they doing their thing. Just to see him, go over there and make a song with them, man, I thought that was amazing, man. That was one of my favorite part of the whole documentary in this episode, man. Just to see those cats up there, because I've seen them. I've been rocking with them for like 2 years.
Yeah, you're the one.
They mixtapes and shit.
Yeah, you're the one that put me on them. So. That's why when I saw that scene, I thought it was interesting, and like you said, they are dope, and like they do have that raw, that grittiness that hip hop is missing. That you feel like you get little shots of it, but then you don't get that full dose, like a real album, a real project. But they provide that. They're filling that lane. They're filling that space that feels like it's been empty.
It's been void for a long time, man.
And I thought it was interesting. I also, like you said, I really enjoyed how they showed the process of how he was like, nah, don't go on the 2, go on the 3. That was good. Let's do like just the whole process of what he's feeling as a producer, letting them feel what they're feeling, and then melding all of that together to make a better project and better track to elevate the sound. Because he came in saying, this is what I was thinking when I made this production. So you understand the feel of it. I'm going to play it. Then he's let them get the feel of it. Let them start writing their verses. And then they went in the booth. They gave their verses. And, he's giving them pointers to just elevate the verses. Not from a content point, but a delivery aspect, which was also noticeable. Not what you're saying, because you're the artist. That's going to be your creation. But as a producer, I'm worried about I'm focusing on the sounds. Let's change this delivery so it rises to be a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, in essence, that's how I felt that he was giving. And then that last part at the end where like he's singing kind of like what could be a hook or a melody, just like completing it, because you got 2 verses, possible hook and a melody, and you got the production. Like, we gotta they showed us the process of a track through this whole documentary. I thought was interesting, but the way that they broke it up so that it wasn't just so formulaic. Like, you might not get it if you really weren't paying attention and strung all those together. Because like I said, he made that beat early in the episode.
Murder.
Yeah, so I just that's what I took from that part. You said what?
That was cool. He had them in mind when he was making it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You would have had no idea that he was that I would have had no idea that he had them in mind.
No, neither did I. But it's just interesting how music is like fluid like that, though. That's another thing that I took from it. How would you compare this episode in comparison to the other 6 ones, excluding the last episode?
Well, this was the producer one. This one, it's different because, like I said, he went around with other. He could have just stuck with his story. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them did have special guests, and they kind of cut into people that they respect and stuff like that. But like in this episode, he really showed that he had respect for a lot of other people and showed how he builds relationships with people, and and from New York to wherever he grew up in California, LA, and just move around, and he has great relationships with people in the industry that he respects. I mean, the other episodes. They kind of stuck with, which was cool. There's nothing wrong with it, but they kind of like stuck with their lives and
just different.
Them. But this guy actually shared his episode with like 4 other producers, a few artists. You know what I mean? Like showing him going shopping for records. Took it back. He went to his house with his family. He didn't keep it there. He's like showing how he's bouncing around. And he's having these great relationships on the West Coast and the East Coast, just sharing it with people that he respects, man. Now, that's what stood out with this episode from the rest. All the episodes are great, all of them. I mean, there's a couple episodes up there that the artists I don't even listen to like that, but after watching the episode, I grew some respect for him. Like, guys like 2 Chainz. Like, I'm not really a big 2 Chainz fan. And after watching that episode, I grew some respect for him.
Yeah.
For his journey, his craft, you know what I mean?
Definitely. I'll say for me, I did definitely take, when you were talking, what it made me think of was basically, like you said, he did introduce so many different people, but at the same time, it still felt like we learned a lot about him, because that's what we said, that's what we talked about, like,
very educational, yep.
So the only thing that I can come up with that you can incorporate so many people and still feel like we got so much education on you as a person is that you are a people person, that you, not necessarily that you're a people pleaser, but you're a people person. You understand people, and you have, like we said, he builds good relationships with people, and it's about a genuine respect and a mutual respect. And that's why it's fostered. And it even spans multiple generations. Large Professor before him, Swiss Beats with him, DJ Mustard after him. Or not after him, but upcoming now, newer. So like his networking ability surpasses just genre or generation, which is what I found as well. And like I said, it did feel very personal. I felt like I do know Just Blaze more than I ever did, and I've known about his music for a long time. That is something that I felt, and is similar to what I felt with the Nas and Dave East one, because I felt the same way. Like, I've known Nas and I've loved his music, and he's one of my favorite artists, especially lyricists.
Me too. You know that.
That I felt like I didn't really know him outside of his music, and I felt like I got a peek into that. And the same thing now with Just Blaze. So I thought that was interesting in comparison. But I have to say, still, my favorite has to be the Rhapsody, man. My favorite has to be Rhapsody. This is probably number 2, and then maybe Nas. But I'll figure that out when I do the wrap up Rapture discussion. But that's where I'm kind of seeing it right now, because I just really enjoyed, like I said, the Rhapsody one. But this one was very well.
Oh yeah, Rhapsody is a great name.
Yeah, this episode was very well done, very well shot, and was, like I said, informative into Just Blaze's life. The last one is going to be, well, is there anything else you want to say in regards to this episode about Just Blaze?
I just loved it, man. I think like you just gave it that was one of my top 2, my top 3 actually. It would have been Nas, Rhapsody, and Just Blaze. I can't put it in no order. Those are the top 3.
That's understandable.
One over the other, but it's definitely in my top 3 of all of them. Like I didn't know a lot about Just Blaze's personal life, like you said, that got a chance to know him. Like Nas, I probably studied everything about Nas. I knew a lot about Nas. I got a book over here called Born to Use Mics that I read with him and Eric Dyson. So that's a good book. That's a good book. Kind of like breaks down the lyricism of Illmatic. And then the Thomas Illmatic documentary came out like 3 years ago. That was got very in depth with his life too. So like Just Blaze, I didn't have any of that, nothing. You know what I mean? It was just, I know the tracks that he produced, I know who he worked with, the artists he worked with. You know his signature sound is basically a lot of gospel sampling, soulful sampling. You know that's a Just Blaze beat. And you hear some of that, you hear a chorus and like a choir somewhere within the beat, that's a Just Blaze beat. But he started that. To me, I feel like he was the king of that sound. He started that. He was the father of that sound. So I knew that about him. You know what I mean? I knew stuff he worked with. Something like a game. He got a song that he did with Game, man. I think it was Game's second album.
Yeah, it's Why You Hate the Game. Yeah, that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yo, when I heard, that was like one of my favorite Just Blaze tracks.
Yeah, I think Martian Ambrosia and Nas was on that.
Yo. Yeah, that joint right there, like that's when I really started seeing, this guy. I mean, everybody loved the Black album.
Yeah.
But like, when you heard him do that Game joint, to me, I was like, this dude right here, man, he knew how to make that shit sound so heavenly, but with gutter lyricism, with a heavenly beat, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was so soulful, that beat, man. I feel like he let the shit ride at the end. Like Game finishes verses and the shit rolled for like another 2 or 3 minutes. The beat was just riding out, man. It's a great feeling. So I knew the feeling of Just Blaze and how he makes you feel as a listener. But I didn't know nothing about his personal life, really. With his father and his mom. He grew up, evolved from instrument to instrument to up to where he is now and stuff like that. So, his whole process of picking beats, you don't know that. You didn't get a chance to see any of that. So I learned a lot from this episode, man. It's in my top 3, absolutely.
Like I said, this is a really good episode. For those out there that really enjoyed this episode and the process of making production, you should check out Rhythm Roulette by Mass Appeal on I watch it on YouTube, where they had an episode where Just Blaze, basically you go into a record shop blindfolded, pick 3 records, go back to your studio, your house, or wherever, and make an album or make a beat on the spot. Yeah, they had an episode with him. I think it was sponsored by Sprite.
That's my joint. That's my joint. I know what you're talking about. When they go into the record store with a blindfold,
yeah,
they pick the records out. They go straight, like, whatever record they pick. They don't even know what record they pick. They pick like 2, 3 of them, and they take it back to the studio, just make a beat of whatever records they pick. Yeah, that was a dope. That's a dope show.
Yeah, so if you like this episode, you probably will like that. So I suggest go watch that. Continue watching the Rapture documentary on Netflix, produced by Nas. We will do part 8, which is on A Boogie with the Hoodie, which is the part 8 of which will be our part 8 for Rapture discussion. That's going to be an interesting discussion. First, I want to say again, thank you, Trav, for doing another episode with us. We definitely got to do some more in the future. And
Definitely. You already know.
And as you know our motto: live, listen to some great music, and above all, love more. And we're out.
We out. Peace and love, everybody.